Hey everybody. Oh, goodness here. Hold on. This thing's doing that weird thing it does sometimes. Where for whatever reason I have it on 780p and it wants to do like 480 or whatever the heck it is. Uh as you guys can see, I don't have an Evil Dead Rise shirt, but I do have my Evil Dead shirt on from Fright Rags in commemoration of going to see Evil Dead Rise today. And I am going to talk about that. Um, I have my energy drink at the ready. I have a backup of Diet Mountain Dew. I haven't been able to get my zero sugar Mountain Dews in about 2-3 weeks. Um, but it's all good. If I seem a little distracted this evening, it's mainly because, and I feel like I can tell you guys this because you wouldn't be in here if you didn't care enough to hear what I had to say about different things. So, um, I got a bit of unfortunate news this morning. Actually, when I was on the way to see Evil Dead Rise. And no, it's not about Brandon before anybody asks. Brandon seems to be doing pretty well. Uh, as you guys that were in Steve's stream, you probably know Brandon's already okay. But last week, my dad's mom, had a pretty bad stroke. And when they found her, I guess she'd been laying overnight on the floor in her trailer. Thank God somebody would check on her and the family every day. They first took her to the hospital and then they transferred her to the nursing home for her to do like the rehabilitation exercises and stuff. I see old Curly Jaws down there. I'm going to add him here in a little bit. Um, and this is not meant to bum anybody out. I just always try to be honest with whatever's going on with me. So, unfortunately, I got a call from my mom this morning when I was on the way to the movies, and she told me that my grand had passed away. So, I'm going to try not to cry here. I was crying on the phone with her because it just hit me that I have no living grandparents left now. They're all gone. And sometimes depending on what's going on with you, it may not quite hit you as bad, or it might not hit you at that time and it'll hit you later. But unfortunately, it hit me right whenever I was talking to my mom. And I didn't want to upset mom. I didn't want to upset dad, but I don't even think dad knew because I could hear dad in the background talking to somebody else on the phone. And I did ask my mom how dad was doing. And she said he was doing pretty well. He knew that Gran was in a better place now. She's going to be at peace now. And that's, I guess, the only comfort anybody has in these situations. So, again, not to bum anybody out at the beginning of the stream, but just in case I seem a little distracted, that is the majority of the reason why. Let me look through these chat messages real quick. So I know old Curly Jaws is in here. Texas is in here. John is in here. Movie Junkie John is in here. John says, "Hey Dana, how's it going? I'm very curious about your Evil Dead thoughts. Haven't seen it yet. Maybe tomorrow." And I am going to talk about that here in just a second, John. And I'm going to make this spoiler free for those of you that have not seen Evil Dead Rise yet. So I don't, spoil anything. Potentially, if people are, a lot of times me and Steve will go to the movies on Sunday, but then every once in a while we'll pick a Saturday, and actually this one was an early showing at 11:25 in the morning. Of course, you got to get past all of those previews and advertisements and all that jazz, and you feel like you've watched a full-length movie before you even get to the movie anymore, unfortunately. So I'm going to get to that little mini review here shortly. Hey, the poet. Hey, TJ. You're at a friend's birthday. Sorry to miss one of my faves. Have fun. Well, thank you, TJ. And this should be on YouTube. So if you want to go back, pop in your copy of He Knows You're Alone and watch this later. You can certainly do that. Thank you, John. You said, damn, I'm very sorry, Dana. You'll be in my thoughts. Thank you to Poet. You say, so sorry to hear. Thank you, Texas. You say, I'm so sorry to hear that, Dana. My sincerest condolences to you. Yeah, and I think everybody has felt, I don't think there's anybody that hadn't felt loss in their life. If it isn't a family member, it could be a friend. So, everybody knows that loss, unfortunately. But I think sometimes that loss brings us a little bit closer together as friends or whatever. Steve even asked me if I wanted to go back home instead of going to the movies. And I was like, no, I want to go to the movies. I want something to take my mind off stuff. And that's also, other than I had already planned this watch along and I was looking forward to it. That's another reason for having a watch along, is just to keep my mind occupied, which is, how I deal with hearing some unfortunate news usually. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and add old Curly Jaws on here, and then I'm going to get to this review before we get to the movie. So, hey, old Curly Jaws.
Hello.
I hear that you've had a spot of trouble with YouTube again, unfortunately.
They deleted my channel again. They hate me. Let's just be honest at this point. They just don't like me.
Well,
I'm on their like most hated list.
You're on their radar now. And so
Like,
they're looking out.
so I do have a new channel if you want to subscribe. Oh, Curly Jaws XXX.
Which I will be subscribing to here shortly. I just hadn't had a chance to, but I'm definitely going to do that. I'm not going to talk specifically about any. I wanted to bring this up before I get in the review. I'm not going to bring up names because I'm not going to give this person any attention. But I may start making some of you mods on these chats, especially if this individual shows up. I don't know that they are, but if they do, I'm going to grant people certain mod privileges. It probably, be anybody and everybody that wants to have or doesn't mind having mod privileges. Oh, Curly Jaws, Texas, TJ, all you guys that are in here, on a pretty regular basis, Dirk, and you don't mind being a mod. If that particular individual comes in here and starts saying annoying shit, then I want to have more sets of eyes. But that's all I'm going to say about it, because we haven't got to that point yet. So, like Steve says, and like X-Ray has said, you don't want to give these trolls any more attention because that's what they want. So just a little disclaimer there that I may be asking certain people if they would be a mod on these.
I'm trying to get off subject, but with YouTube's rules and just the way they do things, I'm surprised they're even still around. Like,
yeah.
I had a movie I made. Went 2 hours away in Indianapolis. Put the video on YouTube in private. and they, I guess they like even if knowing it's in private, nobody can see it.
Mm-hmm.
They're still like, no, that's unacceptable.
Which is very weird. That's weird.
I don't get the. I don't. It's like, not even a warning, not even a hey, no, just channel destroyed.
Yeah, I don't it's things have gotten just so ridiculous anymore. Meanwhile, people can go around and be super annoying and screw up people's, or I feel like screw up people's chats and make annoying nonsensical comments and stuff like that. They can get away with that kind of crap. But somebody that's trying to put content out there, they want to, get rid of those people all the time. Uh, yeah, John, exactly. Retail therapy. Buy some DVDs. Retail therapy always helps, in my opinion. Yes, it certainly does. Of course, Steve has been hounding me. He says I need to save some money, which I'm trying to do. But, I've got my eye on, for instance, I've got my eye on that. Oh, what is it? The 4K of Dazed and Confused. I really want to get that one. Um, Texas says, "What? Wow." Yeah, yeah, wow. That's all. I don't know what's wrong with people. I'm not even that freaking popular, so I don't know why they why they do that. John, you say, okay, so I watched one of your streams a while back and didn't realize someone is trolling you now. That's fucking strange. Uh, this particular person used to come in, well, actually, way a long time ago, before I knew a lot of you guys, before I knew old Curly Jaws and Texas and a lot of you guys that I know now. Um, there was a person, I'm not going to say male or female. I'm not going to say their name because, again, I don't want to give them attention because that's what they want. But they they started out like putting private. They would send me private messages on YouTube, and this was way back when I had my old channel. They would send me private messages through YouTube, making fun of a video that me and my cousin Heather had put out. We had did kind of like a on the road video, only we had our own spin on it. We weren't trying to copy Dead Pit or anything. And we had went to see I believe it was Piranha in 3D, I believe. Everybody remember when that came out, the IMAX. So
That was a great movie.
it was fun. It was definitely fun. So after I'd had that video out for a while, this person sent a private message that said, uh, "No wonder." And I'm not going to bring up this other person either because that's all in the past. But they said, "No wonder that person doesn't like you or something because you and your cousin are ugly." And all of this stuff, and it was really hurtful. And then when I
Mm.
called them out on it, they said, "Oh, somebody hacked my account." And that was their answer every time you call them out on stuff. Somebody doesn't hack your account all the time. They might hack
No.
your account once in 10 years or something like that, but somebody doesn't continually hack your Facebook account, your YouTube account, all that. It just doesn't happen that way. So I was like, whatever. And I just would keep blocking them. And then, oh, it's been several months ago. This person again, I know it's the same person because they keep saying the same kind of shit. So I'm not that stupid. So they would come into Steve's streams that he was doing through Dead Pit.
Mm.
And they would just start talking about calling me Rocky Dennis. And Steve got on the person. Several people in the chat got on, said that's not cool. Stop doing that. And anybody that knows about Rocky Dennis, which the movie Mask was based on, I'm talking about the old movie Mask, not the Jim Carrey Mask movie. But this one had Eric Stoltz on it, and he played Rocky Dennis in it. And Rocky Dennis was an individual that was born with the non-technical term for this disease is Leonidas, which causes facial deformities. And usually people end up dying from it because their skull it keeps growing, basically, is what happens. And it causes pressure, I'm guessing, on the brain and stuff. And so eventually the individual, well, back then in the 80s, they would die eventually. But Rocky Dennis, the real Rocky Dennis, was very intelligent. It wasn't like he had any mental incapabilities where he couldn't take care of himself or any of that. He was really smart in school and all that. And he did end up passing away from the disease, though. I guess around the time he would have graduated from high school. So anyway, but this person was just trying to say, I guess, that I was ugly, that I looked like I had some kind of facial deformity by calling me Rocky Dennis. And they kept talking about my hat. And I had a different hat before this one, and they kept saying it was a red hat. Rocky Dennis never had a red freaking hat on, as far as I know. And any pictures I've seen of the real guy, Eric Stoltz's character, I don't ever remember him having a red hat on. So I don't know where this person gets the connection between red hat and Rocky Dennis. And my hat's not red, by the way; it's pink. That's why I tried to tell the person. So anyway, that's kind of a short and sweet history on this. Well, not sweet, but short history on this person. But anyway, John, you say. John says, I haven't watched live in a while, but remember one where you had someone saying weird stuff but didn't see it in the chat. Yeah, we kept trying to block a lot of that stuff and kick them, but I don't know if when you kick them that is permanent. I don't think it is. I think it waits so long, and then if they keep trying, they can get back in. Oh, so Texas says the what wow was for old curly jaws. LOL. I guess because they deleted your channel again.
It's bullshit.
John, you say, I know you do a lot of review shows now, but one day you should review Ash versus Evil Dead show. I love that series. I keep meaning to rewatch it. Well, that's a good idea, John. I would definitely be up for that.
I'll be down for that.
Hey, Craig, it has been a while since you've been in here. John says, what the hell? That's so strange. People are crazy. Yes, people are crazy, and people have way too much time on their hands.
Yep.
They need to get a hobby. That's all I can say. So now that all of that is out of the way, let's get to this Evil Dead Rise review, which I know you guys have been waiting with bated breath to hear what Evil Dead Chick thinks of the newest entry into the Evil Dead series. So I'm going to let you have it. Now, I'm going to preface this by saying, and there might be some of you in the chat tonight that feel the same way that both Garrett and Uncle Bill did. Because Garrett told me this when I was on the Evil Dead, the History of Evil Dead on Home video stream that Dead Pit did. Garrett came right out and said, Dana, I don't think you're going to like Evil Dead Rise, because I think Garrett had already seen it at that time. He had seen like a sneak peek screening, some kind of early screening. And he said that it was too much. I guess the style was too much like the remake. And I said, well, I didn't have any problem with the style of the remake. I had a problem with number one, it being called Evil Dead, and it just being, I didn't expect a shot for shot remake, and I think I've said this before, but it was just so, in my opinion, totally off base of everything that the Evil Dead stood for. Okay. So it wasn't the style. It wasn't really that polished feel to it, or the atmosphere or anything.
Who is that guy that was in the Psycho remake? Vince Vaughn.
Vince Vaughn, yeah.
Maybe would you have liked to have had Vince Vaughn?
No, because I didn't like Vince Vaughn in the Psycho remake. And God bless Anne Hayes, she's no longer around, but I didn't like her as in the Janet Leigh role either. So, needless to say, I didn't care for that remake, but I don't think that I hated it like I hated the Evil Dead remake. I'm not shy about saying I hate that damn movie. There have been, well, there's probably hardly been any times where I've come this close to walking out of a movie theater. And probably if I had been by myself watching the Evil Dead remake instead of being with Steve, I probably would have gotten up and walked out. But
I was like that with the Child's Play remake. I was so close to walking. I fucking hated that movie.
But so let's get to Evil Dead Rise. I liked it, guys. I enjoyed this movie. And the first thing I told I'm looking at Uncle Curly's face. Total shock, right?
That is a shock.
So the first thing I told Steve when we got out of the movie theater and got in the vehicle to get ready to go home, I said, that is the way you do a sequel to the Evil Dead. That's the way you do a modern day sequel to the Evil
Dead. So it's a sequel to the original.
Well, I don't know if I would say that per se. I would say that, like I said earlier on before I saw it, when I watched the trailer, I felt like that this movie was an extension. It wasn't a direct sequel. It was an extension. It was a different story. We still had the Necronomicon in it. We still had people getting possessed by Deadites, and I don't think I'm giving anything away because you can see that stuff in the trailer. And what I did find, and what I found fun with this one, is the nods to both the original Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2.
Oh.
So that's all I'm going to say about that, because I just want you guys that haven't watched
it. I'm torn. I was going to go see it tonight, but I'm torn. Mormo hated it. Mormo said it was. Mormo fucking hated it.
Wow.
So I'm curious, and you loved it. So I'm torn. I kind of like. I wish it was on streaming. So I don't have to go to the theater.
Yeah. I would say, though, if you do go to the movies, I don't know how much hype is out there, because I was trying to stay away from all that before going to see it. I didn't even watch any reviews where people point blank said it's spoiler free. I didn't want to watch anything before going in to watch it for myself.
So I'm definitely. I really wish somebody would have put it out on their streaming, like Peacock or maybe HBO or something.
But if you do end up having to go to the movie theater, Curly Jaws, the best thing I can tell you is, if you have heard any hype, try to wipe your brain clean of hype. Go in there fresh and just kind of let everything roll. Just let everything roll. and just and then I'm curious to see what you think about it after you do see it, because I think we're gonna have a pretty big division between there's gonna be some people like Mormo that hated it,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's gonna be why I'm not going to
So did CK and Uncle Bill see it yet?
I'm trying to remember if they have seen it yet. Has anybody seen if they have anything up on their site on YouTube or anything? I haven't had a chance to even check.
Because like I told them to do On the Road for it. That's be awesome.
Yeah, I think they did talk about that, or somebody brought that up.
I was surprised they didn't do it On the Road for Scream 6.
Hmm. Yeah, I don't know if it's just hard to get together nowadays for CK and Uncle Bill to be able to do these. It's a different landscape now because and I'm not meaning to tell tales out of school or anything, because CK might give you a whole different thing, or Uncle Bill might give you a whole different reason why they don't do like those on the roads like they used to do. They used to do them all the time, and the earlier and mid-level days of Dead Pit. But here's what I think. I think just life gets in the way, period, because it happens to me. CK is married now. When he was single, when I was single, I had more time to do things and work on things because I was only responsible for me. Now, I have a husband, I have dogs, which are children. So you got to take care of all those things. Um, Uncle Bill he has a significant other. He has kids. He has a dog. There's things.
Princess Puffin.
Yeah, good old Princess Puffins. You got to those priorities come first, and then movies maybe second or third. And everybody knows that. That's got many things going on. And some people don't have a spouse or a boyfriend or girlfriend, but they have maybe family members they got to take care of. Maybe they've got older family members or sick family members that they got to take care of. So they could be sick themselves and not be able to devote as much time to content creating and all of that stuff. Um, so yeah, I had a lot of fun with this entry. I'm not gonna say, "Oh God, it was the best movie ever." I'm not gonna say that, but I did enjoy it. I did like it, and honestly, I'm hoping it comes out on 4K. When and if it comes out on 4K, I'll be buying it to add to my collection. Whereas I didn't give a shit if I ever added that Evil Dead remake to my collection. And the only reason I've got a version of it and I have never touched it, I've never even taken it out of the case that it's in to watch it, is I got that Australian set that I showed on the Dead Pit video that's got the Kandarian dagger and all that in it. The only reason I had that damn remake is because it was included in that. And I want to keep everything intact. Otherwise, I'd drop kick that thing into a lake somewhere, or stomp on it, or light it on fire, do
We
something.
gotta rewatch that.
You guys are gonna get me to do that. So, yeah, I don't want to give away too much about this movie, but I thought that the special effects were good. I didn't think that they seemed to be like excessive CG or anything like that. These seem more similar to old school practical effects. I could be wrong, but that's what they appeared to be to me. Um, the
I'm just curious if our buddy Bruce Campbell makes a cameo or not.
Okay. Here's the thing. I am gonna say I think he does, but I'm not gonna tell you. You're just gonna have to watch it and pick it out for yourself. But I am convinced that there was a Bruce Campbell cameo in this movie. Um, so I'll just leave it at that and leave it to you guys that have seen it. You can, if you don't want to put it in the chat for everybody to see, if you want a private
Are
message,
you gonna do a spoiler stream for it?
I might after I determine that the majority of the people have seen it. It's
Because
just
if you are, I mean, I'll join it and I'll go see it if you're gonna do a spoiler stream and we can get like
that
a
would,
few people from the chat or whatever. That'd be
yeah,
cool.
that wouldn't be a bad idea when we can determine when the majority of people have seen it. I would love to do that because there's things that I'm dying to talk about with it, but I don't want to ruin it for anybody. That's the thing.
Right.
But fun little movie, only about an hour and 36 minutes. Guys,
I'm,
that's hard to come by nowadays when it seems like every movie is 2.5, 3 hours
so,
long.
let me ask you this: do you think there'll be another one?
If this one makes money, there'll be another one. And I'm willing to bet this one's going to make money.
Yeah.
So, yeah, my opinion, there'll be another one. There'll be another one and another one and another one until the money dries up.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying all of them will be as good as this one. I mean, look at, sorry for those of you that like what they did with the new entries in the Halloween series, but I was not.
Corey.
Oh God, the saga of Corey.
I like the Corey part. I thought that revived the franchise right there with Corey.
Which
If
is
they would have
why,
went
I mean,
if they would have kept Corey alive and be like, all right, we're gonna have Corey be the next, we're gonna be he can be the killer in the next 3 installments or whatever. I'd be cool with that. He beats the shit out of Old Man Myers, takes his powers, and becomes like that would be cool. I would have been okay with that.
oh man. So John says, yeah, if you do, I may come on for episode 1. Haha. Maybe not all of them, but I love that debut episode. Of course, John, you and anybody else are always welcome to come on these streams. Yeah, episode 1 is Sam Raimi directed, so it's awesome. I
Oh
agree.
yeah. Oh, you talking about the show? Yeah, I've seen the show. I wouldn't mind revisiting that, and doing like a episode by episode breakdown or something like that. That'd be
Right.
cool.
I need to refresh myself on a few of the episodes too. John,
Yeah.
you say, I really like the Evil Dead remake in 2013. Then I watched it again last year and it's boring as shit. I didn't like it.
Oh, I like that remake. I saw it in the theater, and I thought it was brutal and badass.
John says, this is my problem with the Evil Dead without Ash and Not in the Woods. Man, I don't know. I should go in with open mind. I'm too stuck to Ash. Well, here's the thing that I brought up about Ash and Bruce Campbell playing Ash. I brought this up probably the night that I did the stream on Dead Pit. Is Bruce Campbell has already said, I'm too old to play Ash anymore. I have no interest in playing Ash. And just like I couldn't envision anybody else playing the tall man, for instance. I couldn't envision anybody else but Angus Grimm playing the tall man. Angus Grimm has passed on now. So I say, please, for the love of God, nobody make any more Phantasm movies. Ravager depressed me. So let's just don't make any more. So with the Ash, I know what I'm really going to say. So with the Ash character, I feel like the time has come and gone to make a proper Evil Dead 4
You
with
know who? I think if they was gonna ever like reboot this or remake the series again, but they wanted to bring the Ash character back, I think Chris Pratt could play Ash.
That would that would almost be interesting to me because I like him, um,
Hmm.
but I just feel like the time has come and gone for an Evil Dead 4, for a proper Evil Dead 4 with Bruce Campbell reprising his role as Ash and all of that stuff. I think that's gone. It's done. It's over with. Sam Raimi's not interested in making one. I mean, he might executive produce, a bunch of different Evil Dead movies, but I don't think he's interested in directing them anymore. I don't think Bruce Campbell is interested in being Ash in any of them
You
anymore.
think he would? I mean, he could make some serious money. I don't know why he wouldn't.
He probably, he gets residuals from the old movies. He's probably just thinking, what the heck? I'm,
I'm
I'm
I'm more excited for a new Friday the 13th.
I don't know. I'm afraid if they keep pushing Friday the 13th, I know how you feel about the Corey saga and all that with the new Halloween stuff, but I'm afraid if they keep pushing that Friday the 13th lever, it's going to end up like the Halloween series, and I just don't want that to happen. John says, "Don't be talking shit on Halloween ends, boss." LOL. Yeah, that's right. Somebody's going to be yelling at me, won't they, John? And not old Curly Jaws, because old Curly Jaws takes it all in stride. He doesn't mind at all.
Halloween Ends was like, in my opinion, it was the most ballsy of the franchise. I'll say that it did something completely different and did not care what anybody thought about.
I'll give you that. I'll give you that. John says, "I guess yeah, the show was kind of the send off for Ash. I may go tomorrow to see the new one." Okay,
Mm,
I wanna hear what everybody thinks about when I do that review that's got the spoilers in it. If a lot of you that eventually go to see it want to come on and we just
mm,
kind of have a free for all of talking about it, that would be great.
that'd
Hey,
be
Kelly.
fun.
So we did have 7 or 8 in here. Now we dropped down to 4, so I probably need to get to the movie soon. But I did want to let everybody know that I was not planning on doing a watch along, excuse me, tomorrow. But then I got this idea. I'm doing He Knows You're Alone tonight, which is the debut of Tom Hanks. So then I got the idea, and I think I was talking about this to Kelly when we did our final Hitchcock stream. So now I'm going to be doing a watch along for The Burbs, the Joe Dante classic.
I've
So,
never seen it.
oh my gosh, you're in for a treat, oh Curly Jaws. I hope you can join in tomorrow night. It'll
Yeah, I get off early tomorrow. I won't be able to sit through this whole stream. I won't be able to sit through the movie, but I get off at a decent time tomorrow, so I'll probably be in on that for that stream and
okay.
watch it.
I'll probably start around 6 p.m. Eastern time
That's perfect.
for that tomorrow. Um, John, this movie has so many great quotes. He says, "Amazing film. I want to kill everyone. Satan is good. Satan is our pal," and that will make total sense for those of you that have never seen The Burbs when we watch this tomorrow night. And I was able to find a really good link to the movie on the Internet Archive or archive.org. So there's a very good appears
To the
to be
Burbs.
a copy. And so I'm really, really looking forward to this tomorrow night. Corey Feldman has some great lines in this too. No matter what you might think of Corey Feldman now,
Corey Feldman now. I love Corey Feldman now. Corey Feldman as a kid, I can't stand at all. But Corey Feldman as now, I love him now. Especially his music stuff is great.
But I'll be interested to see what you think of him in this movie, Old Curly Jaws, because he, I think he was going through some of his troubles still yet at this point in time, because there was an interview done with Carrie Fisher, who's also in the movie at one time, where she basically said she took Corey Feldman aside on the set of The Burbs and kind of talked to him. And I think this was during the time when there was probably some heavy drug and or
Probably.
alcohol abuse at that time. And she was trying to help get him straightened out.
He has a really good interview with Steve-O that they talk about that. If you want to look at, that's a really good interview.
I'll have to take a look at that. So we got that coming up tomorrow night. And Monday, usually on Mondays, I'll do a stream, but you guys are going to laugh. I got signed up for this free event that Matthew McConaughey is doing, some kind of live internet event he's doing called The Art of Living. And so I'm just curious. I love Matthew McConaughey. I'm just curious what kind of things he's going to be talking about at this free event. So I probably won't be doing a stream tomorrow night because I'll be in the live stream the Matthew McConaughey event. So everybody feel free to laugh at me now about that.
See, I wonder if you'll be able to interact with it. That'd be cool. Be like, so what did you think about Texas Chainsaw: The Next Generation? Because I love that movie.
I don't know if it's going to be now. You could pay for a VIP thing, and Steve was like, "What in the hell does that mean? What are you going to get with the VIP?" I said, "I don't know. I wasn't going to pay any money, but I'll go into it free and listen to what he has to say."
He'd be like, "For $400, you can ask me a question."
Yeah, I don't think it was that expensive, but I'm like, shit, I'm not paying for any of that.
I'm curious how much it is. Like, I'm curious what it is that you get if you pay.
Right. John says, if I ever meet Matthew McConaughey, I'm getting him to sign something TCM for. I love that movie. I know it's terrible. That movie is crazy good fun, though. I will admit that.
That movie's over the top.
Yeah, exactly. So let's see. And Tuesdays had been the Hitchcock streams. I don't know if I'm going to be, what I'll be doing on Tuesday. Who knows with me? I might come up with something really crazy. I do want to do I know me and Texas have been talking about, we need to get all the details ironed out. We've been talking about doing John Waters movies, William Castle stuff, Herschel Gordon Lewis, and these will all be 3 separate streams, of course.
John Waters is the one I'm really interested in because there's somebody at work that was talking about John Waters, talking about his films, and I watched the trailer for Serial Mom, and I'm going to be watching that really soon because that looks amazing.
It's a fun one. I have the DVD of that somewhere. I think back in the back room. And also I was telling Steve that I want to do a stream talking about Mexican horror movies because Steve got me into Mexican horror movies. I hadn't even thought of that kind of stuff, but Cemetery of Terror and Grave Robbers and stuff like that. I don't know how many of you guys are familiar with these things, but they kind of rip off like some United States films, sort of, but they kind of put their own spin on them. Things like
please tell me there's a Mexican Jason.
In a way, I'll just say that in a way, and I'll certainly be talking about that film.
Is it like Senor Friday the 13th? That'd be awesome.
It's Senor Jason. He's gonna come out. He's gonna come out of the grave with some nachos or something.
His name was Senor.
And also, as a little added thing, I'm going to be drinking margaritas, or probably one or two margaritas. I'm not going to go
16
crazy.
margaritas.
Oh God, no, I'll be laid out. But maybe a couple, no more than a couple. And if you guys that are watching that particular one, if you do drink and you want to partake of one or two, then that's fine.
I might join you for that one. That sounds like fun.
So it'll be Mexican horror and margaritas, you know.
I gotta.
Maybe
I'm
nachos.
sure I'm sure there's some Mexican horror on Tubi.
Oh, more than likely, yeah. Yes, Texas. I definitely will be bringing up Don't Panic as well, which is like the Mexican ripoff version of A Nightmare on Elm Street. So, yeah, we're going to have fun with that.
It better. It's like it should be called Senor Elm Street or Senor Freddy or something like that.
Exactly. John says, yeah, don't panic, LOL. Dead Pit showed that at Fright Night when Steve dressed up. Yes, and I was there for that. But that was one of the few live commentaries that they had at an event that I didn't pay attention to because I was talking the whole time with Wes's wife, Sarah. So I had seen this movie before, but that was one
I,
commentary I didn't pay
I
attention.
swear, I wish they would do another one of those like live commentary event things. That'd be fucking awesome.
Those were so much fun. Let's see. I went to the Burial Ground one a long time ago, and we watched Steve's copy of Burial Ground. Of course, that was before Steve and I were dating. We were still just friends at that point in time. But there was a big group for that. Uh, After I was with Steve, we did what was it? That Hell of the Living Dead, I think. That one was fun. Uh, let's see, Rocktober Blood. They did one a few years ago for Rocktober Blood. Um, just a lot of fun. Friday the 13th Part 5. They did one a long time ago for that one.
Then I say like if we need to talk to CK and Uncle Bill. Like we should do one for like Friday the 13th Part 8.
The only problem with those live commentaries is they generally would do those at Fright Night. And somebody's going to have to get CK on the bandwagon and get him coming back to conventions. Otherwise, I don't really see these live commentaries
I'd
happening.
be like, listen, I'll bring some gummies. We can have a good old time.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, I
We'll all
it'd
get
be like,
wasted on gummies and they'll kick us out of the hotel or something.
there you go. I think it'd be a blast.
And John does bring up a good point. He says Fright Night is probably dead, although this year Scarefest should be good. Hopefully, a lot of people in the community go. You know, yeah, but it seems like every time now that anybody mentions conventions to CK, he's like, I'm not interested. I'm not interested in going. He does say that he maybe is interested in a Dead Pit meetup, maybe, but he just doesn't seem jazzed about going to conventions. And I think Uncle Bill is getting to that point too, because
I mean, I bet it they could probably they raise the money. I'm sure people would donate to it too. If they's like, hey, we raise some money, maybe we can get like a building rented out or something like that. Nothing fancy or whatever, but show a screening or something at something like that, or rent out something or whatever.
when I saw Uncle Bill at the Lexington Comic Con, where we both got our the Evil Dead poster signed by Sam Raimi, he said at that time, he said, I told CK, he said, if I ever start talking about going to a convention and waiting in some long ass line to get somebody's signature, he said, talk me out of it. So
He
I think
will.
he's getting to the point where it's just becoming too much. He said, I'm too old for this stuff
Too
anymore.
old.
And to be honest, I feel like I'm getting too old to, that's
I mean,
as Uncle Bill put it, that's a young man's game. And and I think it's a young woman's game too now at this point. Steve will be like, God bless you, Jesus, now that she's seen the light. I'm not saying that I ain't never going to go to another convention again, but I kind of have lost a little bit of my enthusiasm for them, to be honest. And here's why. Number one is I miss seeing my friends. A lot of my friends that used to show up at these conventions, not just CK and Uncle Bill, but other people that I've met over the years, nobody goes anymore. Either because they just don't have the time, they don't have the
It,
money, they don't have the
also, yeah, conventions are also they're expensive. Like you're gonna be spending some like few $100s.
John says, I think cons are still fun for the vendors. Oh, yeah, I agree with that. Um, John says, I only have maybe 8 autographs, so I won't stand in lines either. Um, John says, the vendors and seeing the community can be fun. That's about it. Yeah, that is the point where I'm at. I might see something I want to buy, but the big thing for me is that horror community. And at least in our neck of the woods, that horror community that we are familiar with, that me and Steve are familiar with, has dwindled to almost nothing. We might see a few people here and there, and that's nice, give each other hugs, or shake their hand or whatever, if you haven't seen that person in a while. But the majority of people just don't go anymore. There was a certain time period where you would see all the same people at every convention. It was like, hey, it's good to see you again. Now it's very rare that
I
you do.
remember. Did you ever go to Fandom Fest?
I don't. It seems like I got Steve a ticket one time so he could meet Sonny Chiba. Uh, and that was probably the only time. And I didn't even go in because there wasn't anybody I wanted to meet. But I knew that he wanted to meet Sonny Chiba, and I said, Steve, I'll pay your entry fee. I'll get you, you know, a ticket to get his autograph. And Steve got that. He didn't even look around at vendors or anything. That was when it was in a J.C. Penney store. An old J.C.
Oh yeah, yeah. That was they did that one year, and that really pissed people off.
Mm,
That pissed me off. I was mad.
yeah, so
But there was a few years it was really good, and now they don't even have that convention anymore.
no.
They haven't. I remember I was always looking. That was my favorite thing to do every year was fan, and then they got rid of it because I don't know what happened or what that whole ordeal was.
I think, I don't want to be telling tales out of school, but I'm thinking that the promoter had some trouble like keeping the venues and stuff like that. And the venues got harder and harder to be able to have or be able to access. Oops. I'm, I'm trying to get my movie queued up for in a few minutes here. All right. So there we go. Now I'm back. Uh, because when I first started going to like the Fright Night conventions, which it was basically the same promoter for Fandom Fest and Fright Night, and I came to Louisville for that Fright Night in '09, and it was at the Crown Plaza Hotel, which was a nice hotel here in
Hmm.
Louisville, and everything was clean, and there was air conditioning, and you're probably thinking, what are you talking about, Dana? Because fast forward a few years later, or a year or two later even, and you were going to a hotel, and if you were staying at that hotel, I had heard that there were some kind of stains on the wall in that hotel that looked like blood. There were bugs in the rooms. There were all kinds of things. Thankfully, we didn't see any bugs in our rooms. We didn't see any blood stains on the wall, but it was less than clean. I'll just say that. Um, there for a couple of years, 2, 3 years in a row. The air conditioning system seemed to be on the fritz. And let me tell you guys, when you pull up outside the hotel where a convention's taking place, and this guy was probably drunk too, because there's a lot of drinking going on that, and probably other substances are being passed around at these. I'm not going to be specific, but I have been privy to seeing certain things at these conventions. But when you pull up outside of a hotel where the convention's going on, and you see a guy puking his guts out all over the sidewalk, you know that number one, he's probably ingested something that's made him sick, or too much of something that's made him sick. But when you get in the hotel and you can't even breathe hardly because it's so freaking hot in there, plus the fact that you got wall to wall people in this place anyway, so it's a wonder there wasn't more people sick. So I think a lot of those things combined caused that convention to fall apart. And I feel bad for the promoter. I've heard things that I'm not gonna say names because I don't want to piss anybody off, but you can put two and two together and figure out who the promoter is of some of these conventions. But I had heard, I didn't see this myself because I don't know anything about the behind the scenes stuff with conventions. But I'd heard that this particular promoter was into some shady deals and stuff like that. I don't know specifics. I don't know if that's true or not. I just heard that in passing. So, with all that being said, oh, okay. Let me see what John's put here. What did you think of Joe Bob's change up last night on his show? I don't know how to feel about it. I thought it was fun, John. I wouldn't want to see them do that every time necessarily, and by that I mean the not game show, the late night talk show format that they had to the last drive-in last night. I don't know how many of you guys saw the last drive-in last night, but he did show two great movies. Oh, there's a kitty cat. Um, he had Lucio Fulci night, and he showed Zombie and The Beyond, which was an absolutely fantastic double feature to show on there. And I don't know if TJ is still in here, but good old Fabio Frizzi was there, who was the composer for several Fulci's films. And so it was real cool. Joe Bob basically interviewed Fabio Frizzi. He also interviewed Ian McAuliffe, who I met about a couple of years ago, who was very nice, and he was in Zombie. Very proper English gentleman, I would say. So he interviewed Ian McAuliffe, interviewed Fabio Frizzi. Now, some people might not have known how to mentally digest some of the guests. I don't know if Curly Jaws or any of you guys in the chat are familiar with Peaches Christ or not, but Peaches Christ was on there last night too. And Peaches Christ, for those of you that don't know, is a drag queen. And Peaches has their own show and they're a personality. And the Peaches persona is evidently the alter ego of Joshua Grinnell, I think his name is. So I thought it was interesting. I thought it was interesting to have somebody in drag on there talking about horror movies and stuff. I thought it was kind of cool, but other people might not have, thought so. They also had that new wrestling personality. What's his name? Is it Danhausen or what? The
Oh, the guy he does this. He's like,
very nice and very evil
yeah, that's
dude.
Danhausen. Yeah,
Yeah, they had him on there. He was interesting. I thought he was funny. Um, and
yeah.
then they had another guy that I can't really remember his name. I think his last name began with a D too, but I can't remember for sure. And I was going in and out of it. I'd gotten pretty sleepy by that point. So I was like, I was waking up and there was this guy with a boa constrictor around his neck. And Peaches was petting the snake and Darcy was petting the snake and all that. And I was like, okay, I'm really out of it now. So so
Mhm.
I don't know who this guy was specifically or what his part in all this was, but I will say that that format seemed good for maybe a one-off type of thing, but I don't know if that's going to be that way for the whole entire fifth season. I mean, I guess if it is, I'll just go with it and see what they do with it and see if they can keep it fresh and interesting, have different guests and stuff on there.
They
Uh,
need to have me on there.
there you go. You need to write Joe Bob or write Darcy and
You're like, you want a crazy individual on there? They'd be like, who the fuck is this person?
well, let me ask you this, oh Curly Jaws, would you dress in drag if they wanted you to dress in drag?
Yeah.
I'd like to see that. You know what you should do? Either do one of your videos and be in drag or come on mine and be in drag. I'd let you come on here and be in drag. That would be interesting.
I'll be
You could
down.
you could do your whole different persona for that.
I'll
I
be
think
down
that'd
with
be
that.
interesting. Texas said he liked it. Had a real cool flow to it. John, you say, I just love the Joe Bob intro where he rants and the harmonica plays, but maybe it's just a one time thing. I think it might be, John, or it might be something that they utilize this entire series and then they may in the sixth season, if there is a sixth season, they may go back to Joe Bob doing his rants with the harmonica in the background. Uh, Texas, you say I totally thought of you, Dana, when he was on there. Did you really? You talking about Ian McCullough? Yeah, that guy was super nice, and I'd recommend anybody meet him. John, you say Fabio is the man. Love the score of Zombie. I do too. Oh, or were you talking about Danhausen? Well, Danhausen was entertaining. I want to watch more of him on wrestling. I think to see.
Oh, he's a character. I'll say that. You know Orange Cassidy.
Yes, I love Orange Cassidy. He's my
He's like,
man on wrestling now.
I can't believe he's still the champion.
I want to get me one of those shirts that says "freshly squeezed" on it.
Jim Cornette hates him so much.
Jim Cornette hates everybody, I think, just about. I mean, I've heard
Yeah.
Steve listen to the Jim Cornette show.
Oh, his podcast is amazing. I
Yeah.
mean, I met Jim, and I love Jim. I met him. He's a really sweet guy. But I'm sure if he watched my videos, he probably would be like, "Who the fuck is this?" So,
But
I mean,
anyway, oh, go ahead, oh Curly. Oh, sorry about that.
because I like Dan. I mean, he hates Danhausen. I love Danhausen. He hates Orange Cassidy. I love Orange Cassidy.
Mm, I don't know. Like I said, I don't think that Jim Cornette likes too many people in this world. But guys, I guess I probably should go ahead and get the movie started because it's after 8 o'clock. But I have had a fun chat about um, all of these different things. I am going to read John's thing here before we get started. John says one of the podcasts I'm on talked to John Brennan, who does the music for Joe Bob, but I missed that episode. Of course, LOL. I was out for personal stuff, but they said he was nice. Yeah, John Brennan does seem like he'd be a nice guy. Yeah, I think John Brennan was the guy in the tux. Pretty sure he's got longish hair and stuff. So, guys, we're gonna go ahead and get started. Now everybody will leave when I start the movie because they're like, "No, it's
Well,
more fun." Um,
yeah. I got to skedaddle because I got to get up at 6 a.m. But
yeah. Well, thank you for coming in here for this kind of long intro, but I mean, it was fun though,
oh yeah, always. But
and
I'll definitely be back on.
all right. I hope you can stop by tomorrow evening for the Burbs.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely intrigued to watch that. That looks like that'd be really good.
I think you'll like it. I'd be very surprised if you didn't like it. So thank you
Well,
for being on, old Curly Jaws. You got an open invitation anytime.
all right. So y'all have a good night.
You too. Don't work too hard. Okay. So now that old Curly Jaws had to leave, is there anybody that wants to come on here live on the stream with me for this watch along? Or are you guys gonna leave me to myself just to do this and bore the hell out of everybody? Um so if not, I will do it alone. But also, for those of you that are watching along and watching the movie, do you guys either do you need me to post the link again? You know, what the heck? I can do that. Let me just post the link again to the YouTube link for He Knows You're Alone in case anybody else needs that. My new keyboard goes to sleep sometimes, so sometimes it takes a little bit. Oh, cool. Texas, you need me to send the link to you again? Oh, that's okay, John. I appreciate the sentiment, though. I understand that people, people got things going on at different times and stuff. I think I'll go ahead and put that invite back in there for Texas and for anybody else that wants to come in on the stream. But for those of you that are just going to be chatting and or watching, let me know when you're all queued up with He Knows You're Alone. I'm basically right before the MGM logo or whatever. Um, yeah, that is fine, Texas. Just whenever I see you down there backstage, I will add you, but I'll keep, rambling on for a little bit till you get ready. But everybody else, just let me know if you, because I put the link back in there for the movie, but if anybody comes in here later after we've already started the movie and you need the timestamp, or you come in here later and you want to join in live on the stream, just let me know because I periodically go back and forth and check the stream or check the chat and then go back to the movie. So I got two tabs open. Yes, John. The link I found the whole movie to is on internet or no, the one for He Knows You're Alone, I've got a YouTube link, but I'm sure if you've got an Internet Archive one, we can get those synced up. But for the Burbs tomorrow night, I do have an Internet Archive link, and it appears to be an HD version of the Burbs. So I think we can probably, even if people are watching like DVD or Blu-ray copies, I'm sure we can get them pretty well synced up. But I've been drinking a lot of fluids today. So, guys, I am going to, I see Texas is down there, but I am going to run to the restroom really quickly. And Texas, when I get back, I will add you on here and we'll go ahead and get started. All right. So let me go ahead and. Hey, Texas, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right.
So long time no here.
Well, thanks.
But I'm glad that you're back in this capacity. Um, so let's see what John says here. John says, "Yeah, I try to schedule my two shows I do on the same night. So other than that, I slack on keeping up with YouTube lately. Got to jump on the Patreon Dead Pit stream. That was fun. Life just gets crazy." I agree, John. Totally agree that life throws us curveballs, as I've said, many, many times. And so nothing's ever the same, is it? So we just keep rolling with the punches and try to get through each and every day. And then that's why, again, I love doing this stuff. I love doing these live streams. I love doing these watch alongs because what it does for me is it takes me out of any personal stuff that's going on with me, and then I'm just allowed to just have fun for a little bit,
Yep.
and I think it helps most everybody. Although I don't know if it helps Steve or not, because Steve treats. I think he has fun once he's doing the streams. Excuse me, once he's in there, but he treats them like work beforehand. And I don't. I have fun making the advertising and all that, getting on Photoshop and doing all that stuff and creating those images to advertise my streams. But I think he thinks of it as too much like work. And that's where the drawback is. Um, oh my gosh, John, you've been watching Gilmore Girls? Well, you're watching it with your wife, though. That's okay. Um, nah, your horror card's not revoked. We'll let you keep it. Um, so Texas, are you all queued up? Are you using the YouTube link to
Yeah.
North Carolina? Or
Yes, I am. So,
I have the Blu-ray, but like I said, I'm a lazy ass, and I don't like to drag out my Blu-ray drive and not my Blu-ray if I don't have to. It's just easier to have a link on the internet that I can switch back and forth with if I need to. So I don't know. I haven't heard anybody say, "Oh, I'm not queued up." Don't you know?
I wanted to tell you real quick.
Mhm.
When I saw this, it was in a dollar theater. We used to
Oh
have
wow.
this $1 theater, a dollar theater here. It was a big, nice one screen, and then years later they converted it into four smaller theaters, which kind of sucked. But they always usually had like when I was in junior high and high school, double features, and I saw this with the name escapes me now, but it was this plus this one movie. I want to say it was called Rich and Famous, which it had Candice Bergen and Jacqueline Bisset. So it was like the weirdest, double bill.
Exactly. Yeah, it
It was
sounds
like,
weird.
okay, it's really strange, but
I could maybe
uh,
see if it shared some of the same actors and actresses, but it doesn't sound like it even did that.
no. And I mean the one other weird double bill that I saw was at a drive-in once. It was Purple Rain and Texas Chainsaw Massacre together.
Yeah, that
So,
is wild. You got Prince singing and dancing around, and then you got Gunnar Hansen cutting up people with a chainsaw. Yeah,
mhm.
that, I
So
don't know about that, but yeah, that's interesting though. So again, this is the movie that Uncle Bill says is like watching old people eat. This is also the movie that Stuntman Mark said that, oh yeah, that one's got a Halloween ripoff soundtrack? And I said, yeah, it does. So if you guys are listening to the music or anything, I've got mine muted because I've seen this movie so many times that I don't really need to hear the dialogue to know what's going on with this particular one. This is the debut of Tom Hanks, by the way, but even before he did Bosom Buddies. So you guys are in for a treat. You'll get to see early acting chops from Tom Hanks. Unfortunately, he's not in the movie too awfully long. He plays a character named Elliot in this. And he's maybe in 2 scenes total, I would say. And also, I want to bring up Don Scardino because you guys know I've talked about Don Scardino to y'all. You guys in here are probably sick to death of hearing me talk about Don Scardino. You're probably like, who the hell cares about Don Scardino? Well, I do because I think he's, especially in his younger days, I thought he was a cute guy and he was like the sensitive, nerdy type in a lot of these movies, and I seem to be attracted to that type of man. So I just love Don Scardino in this. This role as Marvin is probably the favorite character that I've ever seen him play. He was also in Squirm. And I like that character, but not quite as well as the Marvin character, though. John says, this and Don't Answer the Phone mix up in my head. I know they're not the same movie. Maybe both 1980 connections. Yeah, that's possible. I'm not sure if maybe Texas can help me out with this. Don't Answer the Phone. Is that late 70s or is that into the 80s, Texas?
I think it's early 80s.
Okay. I was trying to remember and I couldn't.
I love that movie. I think that one's awesome.
Yeah. It's has anybody ever seen a movie called Disconnected? Now that's not a good movie, but it's a fun one to do, commentaries or watch alongs over.
The name sounds familiar, but I don't know.
The girl from the girl that gets in the pool on Mutilator, she's like the main character in Disconnected. So it's not a good movie by any stretch of the imagination. I'm not going to lie to you and tell you it is. It's but
what's that movie? The one where the woman, she's like at a horse stable, and then these guys show up, and she gets assaulted, and then she goes nuts.
I think that's Demented.
Yeah, God, that movie is horrible.
It is horrible, but believe it or not, Texas, I have a Blu-ray of that, and Steve was like, "Oh God, why?"
I would say the same thing, actually.
But I've gotten things like Horror House on Highway 5. I've got Microwave Massacre. None of those movies are good movies. I just have fun with them.
Yeah.
Just because they're so just out there and over the top crazy. I mean, look at things like Nail Gun Massacre. I like Nail Gun Massacre as well, and that's not a good movie. You've got a guy actually in Nail Gun Massacre that is propping himself up to keep himself from falling over the top of a barbecue grill when his character is killed in the movie, and it's obvious that he's like propping himself up so he won't completely fall on it.
John asked, "What do you think of Death Game?" And I like it. I bought the Grindhouse edition when it came out, and seeing Colleen Camp nude is just perfect for me.
That was I think Steve kind of indicated the same thing because I think Death Game is one that he and I watched a little while back, and I think he had seen it before. but then we watched it together, and I thought it was just okay. Maybe if I had been of the male persuasion or something, I might have liked it a little bit better. But yeah, I totally get you talking about nude Colleen Camp, Texas, because I think that's exactly what Steve was wanting to talk about with that movie.
Well, no, I mean, I did like the movie. I mean, I was
Yeah.
surprised because I'd never seen it, and I was like, "Holy gosh, she's nude, whoa," kind of thing.
And
But
those girls on that are very sadistic. I will say
oh
that.
yeah, I thought Seymour Cassell. The only thing that sucked was that they overdubbed his voice and stuff.
Right.
I don't know if you knew about that, but apparently,
I didn't. Well, Steve may have mentioned that. I don't know. I can't recall at this point in time. John does say it's shot really well, and Sandra Locke was a good crazy lady. Yes, she pours on the crazy, and her and Colleen Camp both pour on the crazy in this movie. And John says I couldn't not think of her Eastwood roles when I saw her in it. Exactly. So we're going to go ahead and get started with the movie because it is almost 8:30, and we got 7 people in here, so that's a good amount of people, I think. And I will be going back and forth between the chat and the movie. So if anybody comes in later and needs a timestamp, we can certainly do that. So again, I've got mine queued up till just before the logo, the MGM logo. I've got the black screen up right before that. So we're going to do the 3, 2, 1 and press play. So 3, 2, 1, press play. So now we got the Metro Goldwyn Mayer with the line in the middle growling.
My sound's not bothering you, is it, Dana?
No, I can't even hear it.
Okay. All right. I just always want to make sure. Okay.
So this is one of those movie within a movie type things. And that's all I'm going to say at this point, because we have a couple making out in the car. One of the people in the car, the guy, is going to seem very familiar when you see his face.
Yeah.
Here in a few seconds. And this setup is also for you guys that are real savvy about urban legends. This is going to be very familiar, this storyline here. And that's good old Russell Todd there, the guy in the car from Friday the 13th Part 2 and Chopping Mall. And Texas can help me out here if he knows of any other big movie, well-known movies that this crowd would know that Russell Todd's in.
I don't know. I mean, only that he, stole my first name. That's all I know.
That's right. How dare he steal Texas's first name? So if any of you guys in the chat know of any other Russell Todd movies, feel free to throw them in the chat. So anybody got any guesses, Texas included, of what urban legend this scene is going to be based on?
I haven't seen this in so long, so I gotta.
It's actually probably based on 2 urban legends instead of just one. Kind of, I guess. So the boyfriend, Russell Todd's character, has left the girl alone in the car. Obviously, these people haven't seen any horror movies because you don't do that.
Right.
Don't leave the girl in the car by herself. And here's another stupid thing. This is a horror movie trope, definitely. The girl decides instead of locking the car doors and staying in there, she's going to get out and holler for her boyfriend in the middle of the woods here. I've seen so many of these horror movies that this is something that I would never, ever do because it never ends well. Oh no. Okay, so there's one urban legend there, right?
He's
Of
just
the
he's just hanging around.
of the boyfriend and his ring is scraping on only in the urban legend it was usually the top of the car that it was scraping on and not banging against the window. Um and then the second part of that is kind of like the story about the guy with the hook for a hand, only that guy, the killer in that case, doesn't have a hook for a hand, but he has some kind of hook shaped weapon that he's using. But then we pull back out. Remember, I said it was a movie within a movie type of scenario. We pull out and we realize, oh, these people are in a movie theater watching a horror movie. And the blonde here that's combing her hair and looking longingly at her engagement ring it doesn't like the movie. She's there with a friend watching a horror movie. The friend is like a lot of us, loves the horror movie. This girl here, not so much. And she's like, I can't take it. I gotta leave. And my first thought is, how big of a wuss are you? That oh God, I just can't take it anymore. Imagine if she was watching some horror movies now. She'd probably have a heart attack. So we've seen this done in quite a few horror movies, including um, Scream, when Sydney is in the bathroom. And I know all you guys remember that part from Scream, but we've seen it done in other movies where somebody is either in the bathroom and somebody else is in the stall that means them harm, or they are in the stall and there's somebody outside of that bathroom stall that means them harm. So I don't know how creepy that scenario seems to be to people. Um, I could think of a lot creepier scenarios, honestly, but
But see, you don't hear anything except for the dripping water. So how
Mhm,
would she assume somebody was even there? I mean, it's
exactly.
ridiculous.
I think we're just supposed to assume she's so freaked out by that movie that she's just hearing everything. Okay, so now she's back with her friend, and her friend's like, "Where you been? This is great." She's got her popcorn. She's just exactly like I am at a horror movie. I got to have my popcorn. I got to have my either soft drink or my icy. Okay, so now, this happens a lot in movies, right? You'll go and sit down either originally at a movie before it starts, or you might have to go to the restroom and come back, or you might want to get some extra concessions. um and somebody may come behind you and sit down, and that's the case in this movie, but she seems visibly disturbed that this guy appears to be a guy. Had the hand certainly looks like a man. Um, has sat down behind her, but we're seeing, oh no, he's pulling a knife out. What's he going to do with that? So, okay. So, at the exact moment that everybody's going ape in this theater, this guy decides, you know, I'm going to just stab this chick through the back of the seat. And, her friend's going to think, oh, she's just hiding her face. She just doesn't like the movie. She doesn't know yet that her friend is dead. This was kind of, I believe, wasn't Texas, refresh my memory, in Scream 2, wasn't there a scene where somebody gets killed in the movie theater?
Yeah.
And so I'm sure that somebody had seen He Knows You're Alone, or seen another movie where somebody got killed in a movie theater. So there's starring Don Scardino and Caitlin O'Haney. Elizabeth Kemp, who Elizabeth Kemp sadly passed away in the last few years. James Rebhorn. That's a pretty big name, right? There's Tom Hanks, and Dana Barron is in this, very young Dana Barron. And Tom Rolfing plays the killer in this movie. There's Lewis Arlt, who plays a cop in this. I don't know about Texas, but I think Lewis Arlt, he's supposed to be sick here, I guess, with a cold or something. But he looks like he might really be sick, because he looks kind of pale and stuff. And there's another face that you guys will probably remember, right? From The Breakfast Club.
Oh God, Paul Gleason, really?
Yeah, good old Paul Gleason.
He's always a dick in every movie I've seen him in.
But this, I think he's quite a bit less of a dick on here, though, which, kind of seems refreshing, kind of seemed odd at the same time.
Right.
I was just noticing, is that her purse, or what is that? Looks like she's holding a teddy bear.
Yeah, that's what it looks like to me, but it could be a teddy bear purse. Who the hell knows?
Maybe it's a jacket or something. Okay, I was just looking at it real closely, and it was like, what in the world? And this movie is directed by Armand Mastriani. And he did a lot of, I guess you'd call it, episodic television, like I think probably some Tales from the Dark Side he did, maybe some Twilight Zone from the 80s. He also did some other horror movies as well, of which titles are escaping me right now.
Yeah, this sounds like Halloween right here, definitely.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, somebody was definitely channeling Carpenter here. Probably not very well, but so this actor, Tom Rolfing, he has some very serious looking eyes here, which I think makes him a good choice for the killer.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how many of you guys are going to catch this, but it looks like somebody's getting married. We're having a flashback here. So doesn't the guy there that's standing by the piano player, we assume that's the groom, doesn't he look very similar to somebody we just saw?
Similar to who?
Doesn't he look similar to somebody we just saw in an earlier scene? Like maybe one of the cops?
Yeah.
So we're going to find out a little bit more about this backstory in a little bit. So this lady is evidently getting married. She's got the wedding dress and stuff on, and somebody's come in, and he's not welcome. We'll just say that. And it's evidently an old flame that this girl had, and he's showing up on her wedding day. She's decided to marry somebody else. And yeah, he's not happy at all. And he's so unhappy that he's going to stab her to death. And we're going to see that this is Tom Rolfing's character. So he's on a bus. He's having a flashback to.
He's he's giving her like a knuckle sandwich while he's stabbing her to death. You know, eat my hand. You know,
exactly. So this guy here with Caitlin O'Haney, this guy was in another horror movie that I absolutely love, and that was Girls' Night Out.
Oh yeah, I don't. I've only seen that once. I don't remember. You know, who he was.
He was. He was Teddy. Was it? Was it Teddy? Gosh dang it! Could be wrong on that, but I'll just look it up. Be on the safe side. And he's on this movie. He's kind of a dick, you know. I mean, he's Caitlin O'Haney's fiance, but he's getting ready to go off for a weekend with his buddies, and they're going to throw him a bachelor party. Which bachelor parties they're all right, but they're starting to go into bachelor party territory like they did on the Tom Hanks vehicle bachelor party. There's going to be some hanky-panky going on. And, you know, that's not okay. But it's okay for guys to have a bachelor party, and it's even okay for them to have, you know, a stripper or something, but not for them to actually have sex with other women. Teddy Ratliff is who James Carroll is the actor's name. But he played Teddy Ratliff in Girls' Night Out. So they got a bunch of what you would refer to in this date and time as stag films. You know, they got their beer. They're driving a Datsun. It's like, this is very, very early 80s, obviously.
She looks familiar, though.
Caitlin O'Haney, she was in another horror film that I didn't like her character very much. Gosh, I'm trying to think. Savage Weekend. Have you seen that?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, that's one where like I sort of liked it, and then I didn't like it because the print that I saw was so shoddy.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
But she's been in quite a bit of stuff. You know, some TV. She was in Silver Spoons and Murder, She Wrote, Saint Elsewhere, Beauty and the Beast, all that stuff. Everybody remembers all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
But she was in Savage Weekend in 1979, just a year before she was in He Knows You're Alone. She was also in Wolfen. She was in A Midsummer Night's Sex Comedy. 3 O'Clock High from 87.
That's a good movie.
I don't know that I've seen that one. I mean, her last film was in 2014, though. So she hasn't done really any movies since then. I guess she kind of got out of the acting game a little bit earlier on than some people. And evidently, whenever this bio was written for her on IMDb, They said she lives on a horse farm outside of New York City with her many pets, including dogs and horses. So that's Elizabeth Kemp there with the black top and the red skirt. I really liked her character in this. She was also in another movie that I think Armand Mastriani did called The Killing Hour.
I've heard of that, but I don't think I've ever seen it.
It's pretty decent. I don't like it as well as this one, but I think it's pretty good. And Elizabeth Kemp stars in that one. But like I said, she sadly passed away in the last few years.
No.
And then the girl in the purplish colored top is Patsy Pease, who I can't really think of anything else she's been on. But that doesn't mean much. Because my brain is not real good. Well, she was in some soap operas, it looks like. She was also in Search for Tomorrow. She was in a lot of TV. Trapper John M.D., Remington Steele, Silk Stockings, The Young and the Restless, Days of Our Lives. It looks like she was in a lot more like television than she was movies. Other than this movie, of course. But let's see, let's get back to the movie. So evidently, Kaylin O'Haney's character of Amy is the only one of these girls that's not, fooling around on their significant other. She's pretty much true blue to Phil, James Carroll's character. But there's James Redhorn there. But Patsy Pease's character and Elizabeth Kemp's character, they have boyfriends, as was evident earlier, where they were kissing a couple of the boys that were going with Phil for his bachelor party. But Patsy Pease is messing around with the college professor, played by James Redhorn here, and flirting with him right in front of his wife, which is pretty ballsy to do. And Elizabeth Kemp, eventually we're going to see her starting a relationship with Tom Hanks's character of Elliot.
Seems like I've seen him somewhere before too.
James Redhorn, if you're talking about the college professor there, James Redhorn's been in quite a bit of stuff. I think James Redhorn's more of a well-known actor now than opposed to back then when this came out. I wanted to say James Redhorn was in Independence Day, but maybe yeah, he was in Independence Day.
Oh yeah, okay. Because now I can picture him because he's a lot older now. Yeah,
exactly. He's been in a ton of stuff.
Here's another Halloween shot.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. This ripped off a lot of Halloween stuff. This was back in the days where you could walk by shops and see the TVs they had like closed circuit television, and you could see yourself, and boom, there's another Halloween ripoff shot.
Yeah.
And when she goes in the ice cream shop here in a little bit, we're going to see a shot that is very similar to Halloween, where she just feels a cold chill, and she looks, and he's standing outside the ice cream shop staring at her. So these are very reminiscent of Michael Myers shots. Look how cheap the ice cream was there. You could get
Buy
a
two
half a
Sundays and get
gallon.
one free. Jesus.
You could get a half a gallon of ice cream for $2.19. So also Marvin's gonna show up here. Don Scardino's character. They look like they've been eating that ice cream for days. Look how melted it is. There's another Halloween rip off
Mhm.
shot.
Yep.
That chocolate ice cream looks good though. And she almost took her ice cream without paying for it. There's my beloved Don Scardino. I love that guy.
This was the guy in Cruising, right?
Yes, he was also in Cruising. Yes, he was. I even like him in Cruising. So we find out here that Marvin is the ex-boyfriend of Amy. Um, and he still loves Amy. And they kind of get into a little bit of an argument here, and what happened evidently is well, he just called Phil an asshole there, and but evidently Marvin went away, and when he went away for a short time, I guess Amy's fickle, I don't know. She just decided she didn't want to be with him anymore because he says, I went away for one lousy summer, and she says, you shouldn't have gone. I think that's a little bit, she couldn't even wait for the summer to be over. For a lot of guys go away for the summer, don't they? I mean, it doesn't mean they're gonna not come back.
Right.
Maybe he's taking some summer classes or something. Maybe he went on a vacation. But then she can't help, laughing at Marvin, and Marvin's talking about his job where he wants to go into forensic medicine. So he's working at the morgue. And she's like, "Why are you still working there?" And he says, it's a good job. He says it's cool in the summer and all that stuff. And then they get to talking about her marriage to Phil, her impending marriage to Phil. And he says he's not gonna. He says to show you something about how cool I am, how cool with it I am. I'm not gonna show up. And she's like, "Well, suit yourself." But we haven't seen the last of Marvin. We will actually see a lot more of Don Scardino than we will Tom Hanks. So now Amy's going for her fitting of her wedding dress. I don't know if I'd want a guy fitting me for a wedding dress that's got that big old cigar coming out of his mouth. I'm going back and looking at some of these chat messages here. Yes, John, slashers are comfort food. I feel like a lot of us consider them comfort food. Texas, do you feel that way about them?
Oh yeah, for sure. Horror movies in general,
John says, I have girls' night out, the bear claw killer. That's right. Hey, Darren. Darren says, hey, guys, sorry I'm late. Just did a stream. Thanks, Tex, for the support. Much appreciated. Yeah, and Darren also says the killing hour, aka the clairvoyant from 82. Yep, that is the exact one, Darren. Now, this might be a silly thing to say, and you guys might say, Dana, geez, why are you talking about this? But the wedding dress that Amy is getting fitted for here, I really like this wedding dress. I don't care for the veil, but the wedding dress style I like. But there's going to be another scene near the end of it where she's going to have a different wedding dress, a different style. And I don't like that wedding dress, but I like the veil better on that wedding dress. So that's just me being weird, I guess. And Amy looks like somebody that's having second thoughts about marriage. What do you think, Texas? Does she look like she's unsure,
Oh yeah.
getting cold feet? And she actually talks to her priest about this here in a little bit, if she hasn't already. And she tells the priest that she's having second thoughts. So we don't really see Caitlin O'Haney naked in this. I can't recall, you might see her naked in Savage Weekend, but I just can't recall off the top of my head. And she's an attractive young girl, but like I said, her character in Savage Weekend seems to be kind of a rich, bitchy type of character, and I just don't care for it. This seems to be more middle class, maybe upper middle class upbringing, girl next door type. And I just like that a lot better. And there's Marvin again. Who let Marvin in here? Well, she's got her bra on. It's not like she's. But it kind of leads you to believe how much of her did Marvin see when they were dating.
Right.
So evidently, the store owner let him in there to peek on Amy in her bra and panties. And these, I want to talk about fashions here a little bit. I love the turtlenecks, but I cannot wear them because even if they are the loose turtlenecks like Amy's got on there, I feel like they're strangling me. But I love the way they look. Oh no. So Tom Rolfing is not only killing brides to be, he's killing anybody that has anything to do with weddings. You're telling me she can't hear any of that?
I know.
I
It's
find
like,
that kind of
what?
odd. It's not that large of a store. Okay, so now this is where she's going to meet with her priest, and this is a kind of creepy scene because coming up we're going to have a scene where it looks like blood is dripping from Jesus's foot. There's a cross with Jesus on the cross up there. You can see the feet there, and the priest is going to tell her it's like rusty water from a leak that he needs to have fixed. And then we're going to have a good old cat scare right after that. So there's just sure a lot of candles in Catholic churches. But I don't know that much about the Catholic religion, but don't people come into the Catholic Church and light candles for people?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So then we heard that big old noise of the organ or the piano. This guy is a weird ass looking priest, though. He creeps me out. Is it just me? Or does anybody else find him kind of creepy? So his cat's name is Mr. Smith. And that loud noise was his cat, Mr. Smith. So this is where she's telling her priest that, she's having, second thoughts about marrying Phil. And the priest is basically telling her that he knows a lot of people that have had second thoughts. And she's like, oh, great. He said, but those are the people that should have never been married, that were having that many second thoughts. But then again, he says he doesn't meddle. He doesn't meddle on people's relationships. We need to get Blissful on here, Texas, sometime when you're on here.
I'd like to, but she won't.
What is it with all the chicks and stuff? Kelly's the only one I can get to come in on these streams with me. I tried to get Uncle Bill to get Savannah on. I've mentioned to CK about getting Sarah on, and none of the chicks want to come on. Blissful says she's panel shy. I don't think you're that shy, Blissful. Come on.
Plus, I'd probably embarrass her, so she wouldn't want to come up.
How would you do that? I mean, I don't think you would do that.
I just would.
So now there's a bridal shower going on for Amy. They've surprised her with a bridal shower, and why there's Tylenol there, I don't know. Are they anticipating having hangovers?
Probably.
I just thought that was a little odd. You've got all these presents, and then you got Tylenol.
It looked when the wedding guy got stabbed, it looked like there was a bottle of foot powder or something on the table.
It probably was.
It was like, what?
So Patsy Pease's character here, guess where she's going? She's going to meet up with the professor. She's going to meet up with James Redhorn, as we're going to see here in a little bit. So I don't know if she is. I never was able to figure out if she was hot to trot for James Redhorn's character, or she was just sleeping with him to get an A. I never was 100% sure on that. So coming up, we're going to figure out the whole backstory behind this killer who's killing these brides to be, and what Lewis Arlt's character, his connection with all of that, because he seems to have a vested interest in these cases. You know, he's getting the hell out of Dodge. He's going to go where this murder of the bridal shop owner, who we just saw get killed with the scissors. And he's like, I'm going to get him, you know.
Here's more of the Halloween music.
Yeah. And we're also having a little exposition here. I guess a little extra exposition. So then another cop is going to come in here and basically he's going to ask Paul Gleason, what's that all about? You know. So now we're going to get the full backstory of Lewis Arlt's story, or Glenn's story. Glenn is his character's name in here. So basically, Paul Gleason is saying that several years ago, Glenn was going to marry this girl, and she had broken it off with her previous boyfriend or previous fiance, and that his bride to be had gotten killed an hour before her wedding. So now Glenn has been tracking this killer ever since his bride to be was killed. And so that we find out that's why he's so hot to get to this small town, because he thinks he's going to catch this guy. So now Amy is talking wistfully about Marvin, and you can tell she's still in love with Marvin. There's no doubt about that. She's not in love with Phil. She's in love with Marvin. She never fell out of love with him. She's just not as much of a go-getter as her two friends are about just going after exactly what they want with no thought about how it might affect anybody else. And also not Patsy Pease, Elizabeth Kemp's character there was talking about the jogger that we're going to find out that's Elliot. That's Tom Hanks's character. Meanwhile, Patsy Pease is playing some games with James Redhorn here. And he's telling her, you know, you shouldn't have done that today. You know, might have made my wife suspicious. And they have this whole thing where he wants to have sex on the table. And he just keeps saying, let's do it on the table. And she's like, no, it's too hard. And he says, it's fine with me. And she says, yeah, it's okay for you. I'm the one on the bottom. So this is probably, I may be wrong, but this is probably one of James Redhorn's, or maybe one of his only, sexual, it's not explicit, but, you know, he's grabbing her butt and stuff like that. I don't think older James Redhorn was doing that kind of stuff. Okay, guys, I'm going to have to let Texas entertain you for a little bit. Brandon, I'm going to have to get him and bring him back here because he's barking like a crazy man.
Oh, boy. Well, let's see. We have these two playing hide and seek, and then we have another great Michael Myers shot. And this is just going to be bad news. Oh, now she wants to. She's still playing a game, and he's obviously angry because he can't have sex with her. And now she acts like she's going to jump out the window and stuff. And they're just laughing, and now he wants to do it on the table again. And Jesus. Oh, no, she didn't get. Oh, he's gonna pulls down the window, and she's freaking out, because she's.
I'm guessing this is supposed to build tension, but
Yeah, it's not really. It's
no, no, it doesn't pull it off correctly. So, yeah, Patsy Peas is like, does she want to have sex with this guy or not? 'Cause she just kneed him in the crotch and then ran away.
Oh, and the killer almost got her there for a second.
So James Redbourne is saying he's saying that this might be his only chance to get some nookie now. So he's eagerly taking his clothes off, standing there in his what will we call them? Will we call them boxer shorts or?
You must be a few seconds ahead of me.
Yeah, I think I am just a tad. I'm like 44 minutes 58 seconds.
Okay.
Sometimes that happens when we get synced up pretty good, but
oh, now he said he's going to give her an A+.
Yeah.
Isn't that special?
Now she acts like she's going to kind of give in to him a little bit. But something's going to happen here. Well, first she's hearing noises. And she says, like, what if it's your wife? And evidently his wife's supposed to be out of town. Oh, no, now the lights went out. That's never a good thing in horror films, is it? When the lights go out. So now she's going to make the poor professor go and check the lights. And he's all sexually frustrated. And, it's too bad they didn't have cell phones back then because, people are having to use their lighters as a way to light things and make some light so you can see. And then he fell there, and now a little bit about this shot where Patsy Peas is in the bed here. I think that they said that they had to do some reshoots for this scene. And so here somewhere, I think the closer she gets to the headboard of the bed, it is a totally different location. They just kind of did a bedroom setup. So you may be able to notice some changes from the earlier scenes and these scenes. And I know, guys, I know way too much about these movies. That's what Steve tells me all the time. He says, you know way too much about them. And I know way too much about bad movies.
If he's not careful, he's going to set himself on fire.
No, that's a freaking big flame there.
Mm-hmm. And right at an electrical box. I mean, what a moron. See, already he's
Okay, so now he's back and he's like, I'm not he's like, I'm not fixing anything. I was down there, the electrical box, the fuse box was sparking and stuff. I'm not messing with it. So this is we've seen this set up before in a ton of movies where she looks like she's asleep, but no. And damn. This guy's upset. There is no doubt that this killer is very upset. He's taking his anger out on everybody. So Amy had told Marvin that she would talk to him at 7. But she didn't mean 7 in the morning. Evidently, she meant 7 in the evening. But Marvin's showing up bright and early with a fish for her fish tank. And they had this running joke between the two. And evidently, Marvin bought her this tank whenever they were dating. And he told her that when he got her that tank, that every time he'd visit her, he would bring her a fish. So look how many fish are in that tank. That will tell you that Marvin's been there a hell of a lot of times to visit Amy. I think she's almost got too many fish in that tank. So, girls, you ladies that are in the chat, wouldn't you want a guy like Marvin that's funny and he's totally devoted to you and all that? Although it might be a little bit unrealistic to have a guy exactly like that. So he's still carrying on about Phil. He says, "Is the rumor I heard true?" And she said, "What have you been hearing?" And he says that you dumped Phil. And so he just won't let it go. And so now they're talking about other relationships that Marvin had after Amy. And he started dating a girl that everybody said would have sex with you, and she didn't. And he said that she told me to stop, and I stopped. And Amy says, "Well, you've always been a gentleman, Marvin." And he said it was the biggest mistake of my life. He says, I found out later she was telling guys, all guys, no a couple of times before giving in. And so if he had just stuck with her, he might have. There's another Halloween ripoff shot there with the killer outside the window. So also, Amy said, "Well, I've said no more than a couple of times, Marvin." And he said, "Well, maybe I haven't asked the question enough times." So that kind of, you still know that there's something between the two. So when she hollers at Marvin, of course, the killer's nowhere to be seen, just a lady walking her great big fuzzy dog. So I guess everybody thinks Amy's got the jitters because of her impending marriage and all that. So Marvin's going to humor her and go and look outside. And he's going to do this funny thing here in a second where he looks like he's looking behind the bushes and he's going to joke with her and look like somebody pulled him into the bushes. Yeah, Marvin, you like that, don't you?
So is he supposed to be working like for a pet store, or is he working at a drugstore?
No, he's working at the morgue.
Oh, well, yeah. So then he still could probably get her some drugs or something, so she wouldn't
Yeah, he could.
be freaking out so much,
But I think he likes her in his arms like that. I think he enjoys that. So Amy looks okay, but her friend there, Elizabeth Kemp's character, doesn't look too good. Evidently, she drank a little bit too much. And she's like, we're not going to go out jogging, are we? And Amy says, well, yeah, of course we got to meet your friend out there. And there's Dana Barron. I forgot to talk about her a little bit earlier during the bridal shower scene. But a lot of people will remember Dana Barron from the first National Lampoon's Vacation, playing Audrey. But she's been on a lot of other stuff too. Now, Dana Barron's character didn't drink. We're not insinuating that. But she ate too much cake. So she ate too much cake at the bridal shower.
Yeah, she's a bit too young to drink.
I would say so, yeah. Just look at her. She's so sad. Marvin's got to leave. Okay, so now Glenn has made his way to the bridal shop where Amy was, I guess, a day or so before, where the owner had gotten killed. And they didn't even know that he was coming. He made Paul Gleason promise that he wouldn't tell him that, he was coming, because he basically doesn't want any of these other cops getting in his way. Ooh, I hear a phone.
I'll be right back.
Okay. I'll try to keep you guys entertained until Texas gets back here.
Right. I'm on a live with Dana. I'll call you back. All right, brother. All right, bye. Okay, I'm back.
Texas, if you ever need to take any calls, I'm perfectly flexible.
Well, I wasn't expecting it. It was my friend Jimmy. Usually he's just about to pass out because of his meds that he takes at night. But
wow.
I had called him earlier, and he was at a track meet for his cousin or something. So, but I told him I'd call him back, so that's no big thing. It's all good. But I appreciate that. Sorry to ruin the live.
It didn't hurt anything at all. I was just like, at first I was like, is that on the movie? No, that's not on the movie.
Well, it's like, when Curly Jaws was on, he had something playing in the background, and I kept hearing it, and I thought I had my phone on something, and I'm like, nope. And I'm like, what the hell?
I think part of old Curly Jaws' thing is he doesn't have he doesn't have any headphones or earbuds. And I think sometimes when he's on these streams with people, that I notice I can hear my voice echoing on his end. And I think it's because he doesn't have headphones or earbuds in. When I'm on, I hope nobody notices an echo when I'm just doing my own live streams. But when I'm on somebody else's, like if I'm on dead pits, I always try to make sure I either have earbuds or headphones on so there won't be any echo.
Right. So it's like you can't hear the movie, but you can hear the phone ring. That's funny.
I know, that is kind of odd. So we're coming up, you guys are probably thinking, good God, it's almost an hour in and we haven't seen Tom Hanks. We're getting ready to see Tom Hanks here.
Well, the reason why we didn't see Tom Hanks was because he was too busy playing Dungeons and Dragons.
Yep, exactly. So technically, that probably would have been his debut, but I guess there he is. That he doesn't talk. I don't hear very many people talk about that Mazes and Monsters movie that he was in. So, guys, here's a little tip. This is how you meet women. You trip them. So, just stretch out your leg and trip the woman that you got a thing for. And it works every time. Or it works for Tom Hanks anyway. And he even tells her, he says he stretched his leg out a little bit extra to make sure he tripped her. So he's not shy about admitting his tactic either. And I won't give it away just yet, the reason why. But originally, there was supposed to be at least one more scene with Elliot than we actually get. And when we get to it, I'm going to explain why. These woods here and this trail through them and stuff reminds me of things back home. It doesn't really remind me of Louisville, but it reminds me of where I grew up.
Here's the other Halloween interlude again.
Yeah. They played the hell out of that.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't like to clean a house that big, but probably if you had a house that big, you could pay somebody to clean it for you. But I would like to have a house that big. I'd have a lot more space to put all my horror memorabilia and all that stuff in a house that big. So I assume Lewis Arlt is arguing with Paul Gleason again, telling him, it's my case and leave them out of it and all that. Okay, so here at the little carnival, you're going to get a little more expansion, another scene with Elliot, another scene with Tom Hanks here. And I'm not sure this ride here that was right before the Scrambler, is that a ride that's called the Paratrooper, Texas, or do you know? Because my mom used to talk about a ride called the Paratrooper.
Okay, all I see is the merry-go-round right now.
Okay, maybe just hadn't got to it just yet.
Oh, this? Yeah, probably. I think it's been called a bunch of different things, actually.
That's what she used to call it, but I'm sure, yeah, it's been called other things. But she said that she was fine with that ride until they started making it go backwards. And then she got sick on it. when it started going backwards as opposed to just going forwards all the time. So now we're seeing Elliot some more, and he's wanting some goobers, candy. And evidently, Elliot is a psychology major. And so he gives this whole kind of almost like he's given a start to a master thesis on the psychology of like fear and horror movies. And this is kind of interesting because this is early on. This is like the golden age of slashers here during this time period. So this was before all the screams and stuff like that, before we had characters like Randy telling us the rules and stuff of horror films. So I feel like that characters like Elliot were precursors to what the characters became and stuff like Scream, and even stuff that's out now that kind of pays tribute, so to speak, to the horror genre and horror fans, and it gives a little nod and a wink to different things. Another character was Barney from Evil Laugh. If anybody remembers the Evil Laugh watch along I had, he talks about, he's the guy that's reading the Fangoria magazines and gets all freaked out about things and talks about Jason from Friday the 13th and all that. So, something else I notice about Tom Hanks's character here is he never has any money. So he's constantly, Elizabeth Kemp is constantly giving him money to buy her things. And he keeps telling her, I'll owe you. And she seems perfectly okay with this. I don't think I would be okay with it. Because shouldn't the guy have money to be taking you on this date? So here's the little discussion here where they're talking about, going back to Elliot's place later. And, I guess there's going to be some hanky-panky going on. He's going to tell his roommates to vacate the premises and all that. Yes, John, I'm going to be talking about that soon. The plan was to have Tom Hanks in a bigger part in this movie, and I am going to get to that here shortly. I just didn't want to give it away too soon. So now Amy and her sister are in the fun house, I guess is what you would call this. Fun house / haunted house. And we're going to see that the killer has also followed them into the fun house.
That looks like my father.
So this seems kind of a weird, like, fun house to me. So you see the flashing skull, and then you see and you see Tom Rolfing's character kind of smiling there. Got a weird smile on his face. And I'm not exactly sure if Amy is seeing him and thinks her mind is playing tricks on her, because I don't think her sister seems to see him.
They have the one guy that looks like the executioner from Bloody Pit of Horror.
Exactly.
You've seen that, right, Dana?
I think I have, but it's been a while, been a little bit. So now we're going to Phil's at his bachelor party, but he just can't stand it. He's got to call Amy. But guess what? Amy's probably not home. Yeah, Amy's not home and he's not getting an answer. So what does Phil do? Instead of going back and behaving himself, he's got his friends, and you may not have seen. Okay, you're going to see it soon. You're going to hear his friends, if you're listening to the audio, say, "Hey, Phil, come and join us." And it's like all of a sudden he just grins and forgets about Amy, and he's going to go in there where the girls are. So is that those old McDonald's glasses there? I don't know if Texas is there yet, but where Amy and her sister are sitting there eating hamburgers and French fries, and it looks like the Hamburglar, and I could be wrong.
Yep.
I'm not sure what the other glass has got on it. It may not be a McDonald's glass, but the one looks like it is.
Yeah, it's a Hamburglar glass. I can tell that.
So now would be a good time to bring up the Tom Hanks character of Elliot and why we don't see any more of Elliot after the carnival scene. They pretty much talk Tom Hanks right out of the movie at this point, because Amy is talking to her friend and she says, that she's scared, that she saw that weird guy. She keeps seeing him. And her friend says, "Well, I'll stay here and stay with you. I was going to go, and Elliot and I were going to have a date, but, I'll call him and tell him that I can't tonight." So Elliot was meant to get together with Patsy Pease's, or I keep calling her Patsy Pease, Elizabeth Kemp's character, and then his character was going to be killed off. Armin Mastroianni liked Tom Hanks so well that he couldn't kill his character off. So basically, like I said, they talked Tom Hanks right out of the movie in that one scene. So yes, his part was supposed to be larger. Okay, does anybody notice anything about those knives behind Elizabeth Kemp? They're really focusing on that knife rack. And that's because there was a whole row of knives a while ago. Now there's one missing. It's a wonder they didn't do a dum-dum kind of stinger there. I guess they didn't want to be too obvious, but they had that shaft of light shining right on the wall there. So Amy has dropped her sister off for a sleepover and she's headed back home, but somebody is following her. And we're supposed to think it's the killer. But what do you think? You want to take bets, everybody? Is that the killer or is that somebody else?
If they would have gotten, what's his name? Your favorite, I can't think of his name, the guy from House on the Edge of the Park.
Oh, you talking about Giovanni or
No.
David Hess?
Yeah, if they would have gotten him, this would have been a much better movie.
That would have been wild. His character would have been raping everybody. in this movie. So for you guys wanting to see a little bit of nudity, little TNA, you're gonna get to see it there. There we go. But I must say, when I had Steve watch this with me, and we did a commentary a while back, he wasn't too impressed with Elizabeth Kemp's physique there, I guess, be the best way to say it.
Well, I'm just getting there right now. Like I told you, I saw this in the Dollar Theater, and it was such a long time ago. I was probably like 15 years old when I saw this. I might have seen it one other time, but I was,
So Elizabeth Kemp is an attractive woman, but she's not, and she's not a heavy woman, but she is probably what Steve would refer to as thick. And I think some guys, I'm not going to say all guys, I think some guys are used to seeing the skinny minis in the shower. And I'm not meaning to insult you guys. I'm just saying a lot of guys were used to looking at thinner women in the showers, and the thinner women with big old boobs. Okay, let's be honest, right about this. So, and Elizabeth Kemp, even though very attractive, she didn't have an ugly body. It was just a normal body. Okay. And I think that's probably, some guys were like, gee, is that all we get? I think that was Steve's attitude, is that all I'm going to get? So right here, and Texas might not be quite here yet. She's smoking some pot. She's rolled
yeah,
up,
I'm there.
and she's getting a little stoned. She's looking at the fish in the tank, and the record playing. You guys might laugh, but I love this song. It's the Night Again by, I believe, Alexander Peskanov. But I'll bring this up. I think I brought it up before, and there are versions of this on YouTube. But if anybody can find a cleaned up full version of this song, I would love to have it. And again, you guys might laugh because I like that song.
I can probably find one for you.
Oh yeah, you're the
maybe
music guy.
Maybe I won't guarantee, but
so she's got her joint, she's got her wine. Although this is a little bit dangerous.
Yeah.
Okay.
And she's got a really shitty pair of headphones on too.
Yeah, exactly. But what I would be worried about is I'd get so stoned I'd go to sleep and burn myself.
Okay though, look, she's like fucking eagle ear, right? Because it's like these shitty headphones, I gotta take them off. I gotta look around the room. Okay, yeah. Undo my hair, put them back on, and I'm gonna stare. Well, it looks like she's staring at the ceiling, but then they cut to that shot of the fish tank.
Yeah, exactly. So, who is that? So that couldn't have been the killer following Amy because he's there.
Somebody's hiding under that table, I tell you. It's a midget or something.
Okay, so it looks like she's toast, right? It looks like Elizabeth Kemp's character is toast. Okay, so now Amy has made it back. Okay, so a lot of people laugh at me when this scene coming up. I'm going to wait a little bit till she actually gets in the house here.
You're still a little bit ahead of me, I think.
So Amy's getting ready to come in the house. I'm like, shoot.
Man, she can't drive.
An
It almost seemed
hour
like she
and
hit something.
17 minutes and 55 seconds. Yeah. So this scene coming up here, there's going to be an addition in the fish tank. That's all I'm going to say for right now. But I love this scene though.
I see, that was one of the funniest things that, like, when I saw it, the person I was with, stuff like this always just cracks me up.
Mm-hmm.
And it's Blissful's always saying, I dare you to laugh, don't laugh, and she knows I will, at certain things. And I remember when I saw this, I mean, I'm in an uproar. My friend that was with me was like, punching my arm, like, stop, it's not funny,
But I get it. That's not the best head in a fish tank scene. But I still like it. It's obviously fake and stuff. It's no Eyes of a Stranger head in the fish tank
right.
scene. Okay. Which that was done with a real person with their head up through a hole in a tank with water around them, and they just held their breath for the shot.
See, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Well, like I said, I hadn't seen this in, decades. So I forgot that it was a woman whose head was in there. I mean, I realized, once, the whole chair scene and all that, but I forgot. I kept thinking it was some guy.
Ah, gotcha. Well, I guess if they had left the scene in where they killed Elliot, I guess they could have
right
put Tom Hanks's head in the fish tank.
Holy crap.
What in the heck, though? This looks like this guy's trying to hump the car.
Yeah, but look at her for taking fucking forever to, like, find her keys and shit,
And this is I think this is the only time the word fuck is used in this movie, is when she's trying to find her keys and she says, the keys, the fucking keys, and I don't know if they did that because this movie's not overly gory.
No.
Even with the head in the fish tank.
Was this rated R or was this PG?
It was rated R. So back in the day, I believe you could show breast at least one time and still get a PG-13.
Yeah, well, it used to be like you could say fuck at least once.
Yeah, you could say that at least once. So I don't know if the combination of those things, of showing the breast, of saying the word fuck one time, and they had to give it rated R, or I don't know. The ratings board thought it was too violent, but it's obviously not that violent. So she's headed for the county coroner's office, which looks like it's freaking out in the middle of nowhere. And we know she's going there because she's trying to find Marvin. So Marvin doesn't look like he's working too hard. It must be a slow night for dead bodies or something, because he's not doing a lot. So Amy's telling him some guy tried to kill her and all that. And he's like, Amy, the last time I looked, there wasn't any guy there. But now they heard something. Somebody's always hearing something in this movie. And what the heck? I just noticed that. Texas, did you notice his picture on his where his name tag is at? It looks like he's got a freaking fro.
Well, but he looks like he has one anyway. Not
yeah,
exactly
but this one looks like a bigger fro.
Well, maybe he just didn't have any good pictures of himself at the time, so they took something,
Maybe he got a haircut since that one was
It
taken.
might not even be him, you know.
Mhm.
You know,
Because we
but I
don't
see what you
really
mean.
see it. We don't
Yeah,
see it that
you
good.
don't. I mean, it's a lot darker than, you know.
Man, everything, all the equipment, that looks like a almost dilapidated building. It looks like it's been there for 100 years, but that room that Marvin was just in, all the equipment looks shiny and new in there. The water heater and everything.
Oh, look, there's a porn mag on the desk.
I guess I didn't notice that before. Oh, so we know what else Marvin was doing there.
Mm-hmm.
Marvin was evidently horny too.
I mean, they try to make it look like a book, but I swear to God, that's a porn mag.
He's got to have something to occupy his time, though, doesn't he?
Right?
Those long hours at the county coroner's office.
You see what I mean? In front of the phone.
Exactly. I don't know how I ever missed that. So now Glenn he's went to Amy's house because he figured out that Amy is the one that the killer is after. And he figured this out how? Because the bridal store owner who was killed, Ralph,
Right.
I think his name was, had a piece of fabric still in his hand where he had been putting Amy's wedding dress up back on the rack when he was killed.
Did you notice that when he was on the phone, though, he looked like he was about to puke?
Yeah, I mean, this whole movie, Lewis Arlt looks sick, looks really sick. And I haven't ever seen anything where somebody said, "Hey, he's sick," or he was sick when we were filming this. And I listened to the commentary with Armin Mastriani and the writer Scott Parker, and none of them. I don't recall neither of them saying anything about him possibly being really sick. So here's something I wonder about. So Amy's in a room with some of the dead bodies, and she's gonna see Patsy Pease's corpse here, her friend's corpse. There she is, and like, how did Marvin not know that she was there? Did he not come on the clock until later? Did the killer bring the body in there and like?
Yeah, maybe it was somebody else that brought her in there, or he just didn't pay any attention. You know, who knows?
So these scenes here are very reminiscent.
That's what they use for the poster, right? That
the
side view with her with her fist up and stuff.
There's a scene coming up here soon that's going to be the exact shot that they use for the poster, I think, when they're down in these tunnels.
Yeah, but I thought it was when she's, you know, right before he was coming in there, and she put her hands up, you know, and she was just like,
It might be a couple of scenes because there was the one scene that was the main image on the poster. And then the He Knows You're Alone title has a silhouette of her doing another shot. So,
gotcha.
And I think that's the shot that's going to be coming up soon.
Because there's actually a little thumbnail below me of what we're watching, except that it's a buy or rent one, and that's what it it shows her with her hands up, just like we just saw.
Exactly. Yep. So that's the main image, but there's, like I said, there's going to be another shot here in these tunnels that I think that they use for the silhouette in the title. And it's right about, I don't know if you're at it, Texas, where she's got her sweater pulled up over her mouth. Like, how's that going to save her from the killer? I don't know, but
I think I see what you're talking about when,
Mhm.
yeah, when she's bending down, and yeah, right here.
And so Lewis Arlt just shot the killer, and he's telling her, get out of here. These scenes here seem very reminiscent of Halloween 2, which hadn't come out just yet. With him telling her to run, and then even though he gets killed here, Lewis Hart's character gets killed by the killer. He gets stabbed. But people that remember Halloween 2 clearly, which I figure is most of us, if not all of us, that right about the time that Donald Pleasance is telling Jamie Lee Curtis to get out of there, Michael Myers stabs him with a scalpel. So it's kind of weird. I don't know who copied who. I don't know if they somehow found out about scenes that were going to be in Halloween 2, but it's just eerily familiar, some of these scenes. I do think that's a good shot there, where his hand comes through the glass on the door. So that's another thing. Why is Marvin just standing around there? Like, why isn't he trying to find Amy or trying to find the killer one? And so the killer's not getting up at this point. So Marvin and Amy get out of the county coroner's office, and he's telling the cops basically he's inside, So I guess they're going to go in and either arrest him or kill him, one of the two. So Amy and Marvin, I guess, have fell back in love, and somebody else is getting married. And who's getting married? Why, it looks like Marvin. And who would Marvin be marrying but Amy? So you guys can probably figure out what this setup is going to be. And I don't know, I can't recall if they were thinking about a sequel at this point. You guys are probably thinking, God, he knows you're alone too, Dana. No, they wasn't going to make that.
Yeah, that would have really sucked.
But here's the wedding dress that I don't think is nearly as pretty as the one she had near the beginning of the film. But again, I like the veil better. So she's getting ready to marry Marvin, and she's, looking at her flowers, and she's getting ready to walk downstairs, and Phil, what are you doing here? And then it zooms in on her eyes and the killer's eyes, and then goes to red. Instead of fading to black, we fade to red. And we get more of that rip-off Halloween music again, in case you're listening to the audio. So Texas, how'd you feel about the movie this time around? Did you like it any better, any worse, or
a little? I mean, it wasn't as bad as the first time I think I saw it, but I mean, it's kind of like what John said. This had inklings that it could have been, some, good stuff. Could have been done better, I think. But obviously this was a cash in for the time of like all the slashers going on, unfortunately,
Yeah, exactly. John also says, Eyes of a Stranger was scary enough with King Frat killing people. Yeah, that guy was a good killer. thought in Eyes of a Stranger. And speaking of Eyes of a Stranger, I've got a upcoming watch along for that one, which is going to be on May 20th. So you guys can look forward to that. Next week's watch along will be House on Sorority Row. Not Sorority Row, but House on Sorority Row. Because I don't like Sorority Row. So we're not doing that. Because these are Dana's streams and Dana picks the movies. And so I don't want to do Sorority Row. So, but May 20th.
Wait, what's the song? What's the song that you wanted here?
It's called "It's the Night Again" by
Gotcha.
Alexander Peskanov, I think.
Yeah, he wrote it, but it's sung by Vinny Canal. So
yeah,
I'll have to look that up.
That's right. Yeah, you're right on that. A little refresher on the upcoming watch alongs I got. Like I said, the April 29th will be House on Sorority Row. May 6th is Death Ship. May 7th is Graduation Day. May 13th, The Prowler. May 20th, Eyes of a Stranger. And May 27th, Happy Birthday to Me. And also in June, upcoming June 3rd and June 4th, we're going to have a double watch along weekend with Killer Workout on June 3rd and Death Spa on June 4th. So I've got a lot of watch alongs coming up. In addition to the watch along tomorrow night that I just thought that I would do, I thought about today for the Burbs. So you're getting a double feature, Tom Hanks double feature this weekend. So I hope that you guys will all be able to join me for the Burbs tomorrow evening, starting at 6 p.m. Eastern time.
Tom Hanks in an inch, you mean?
Exactly. And Blissful, thank you for reminding me about this. Blissful says she's looking forward to Wednesday. She says she's been watching Monsters. I do have that upcoming with TJ. We're going to be covering the first half of season 1 of Monsters. So you guys can look forward to that. If you haven't ever seen Monsters, I think you're in for a treat. If you have seen it, but it's been a while, maybe that'll renew your interest in going back and rewatching some of the episodes. And you guys might hear Brandon in the background. He's woke up again. John said the Monsters intro, love it. Yeah, I love that. I think Monsters had one of the most unique intros for horror anthology shows. Some of you guys might disagree with me on that, but it was just it was one that I never forgot about. You know, Tales from the Dark Side I didn't forget about either, but it still wasn't as unique, I don't think, as Monsters. And maybe the creators thought, oh, you know, this is coming after Tales, or kind of a little bit after Tales from the Dark Side. Maybe we better get something flashier to catch people's attention for Monsters. So Texas, have you seen a lot of the Monsters episodes?
No, I have not.
So hopefully maybe this will get you where you want to watch some. It looks like Blissful's been watching it. Maybe you guys could watch some together or something.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Mm-hmm. So I'm probably going to have to get off here in a second because Brandon must be underneath the bar in the kitchen because he's barking his head off and I can hear things rattling in there. So I don't know exactly what he's doing in there, but Bless his heart, with his mobility issues, he gets stuck
Mhm.
places sometimes. So he's really going crazy. So, but I did want to give Texas a chance to mention anything. I mean, have you got anything that you've been working on, Texas, that you want to promote or anything like that, or talk about, or?
No, hey, good night, Darren. No, I mean, it's like I got all these ideas and things I want to do. Some things actually I do need to get with you about, and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, we need to
And
discuss that. Yes, we do.
yeah, because I've got other ideas of certain things that I told you that I want to do, not, movie related, but there's some things I think that you can, help me with. So yeah, I'll
Mhm.
talk to you about that as well
Yes,
and
and
stuff.
I've been meaning to uh, send you a message through Facebook or something like that to work out some of the details, because
Yeah.
I need to figure out which nights will work best for you. I know some people, like when Kelly and I were doing the Hitchcock stuff, we kind of tried to work things around when she was going to classes and things like that. Um, yes, Bliss. Well, I agree. Texas does have some really good ideas, and that that is good because I like to keep things fresh around here.
Um, One thing like that I did want to say about, the John Waters and the William Castle and stuff, it'll probably, I mean, the way I like to do it would be like kind of like the way you and Kelly, did stuff. But I don't want to do like 10 movies at once. I would
Yeah,
rather kind of, maybe do two or three,
yeah,
even
we
if it's a
can do
bunch of,
that.
even if it's a bunch of streams. I mean, I think that would be better because it would garner us a good audience, or at least you a good audience. You know what I mean? I think.
Right. Yeah. And I am willing to try, switch things around, try things differently. Uh, you know, uh, it's just like when TJ and I did that first Tales from the Dark Side stream, and we both tried to do all the season one episodes, and we figured out, that didn't work so good. So in the same way that a lot of this stuff is new for me, so I kind of have to try it out and see what works, what doesn't work, and all that. So yeah, that is a good point to bring up. Um, but guys, really, Brandon must be banging the hell out of his head on something. So I think I'm going to have to get off here and go check and see what he's gotten into. But I do want to thank everybody for being in here tonight. I hope you enjoyed this watch along. I want to thank Texas for being my co-host on
Oh,
here
you're very
tonight.
welcome.
And you have an open invitation to come back at any point in time. And Darren, if you're still in here, yeah, Darren's still here. So you have a good night, Darren. He says we need more texts on the show. I agree. I agree. Thank you, John. John says later on, or later all, good stream. Thank you, Blissful. You have a good night too. Um, and with that being said, I'm going to skedaddle on out of here for the night, and I will see everyone on the flip side. Y'all have a good night now, and I will see you tomorrow evening for the Burbs watch along. So good night, everybody.
Night.